So two things that were said there, which I think is interesting. So the first is on the 15% share of media. I think it massively underestimates the actual reach and impact of women's sports because it really thinks about it through the lens of men's sports and how we have measured the scale of men's sports, which is really through live broadcast. And I think a platform like YouTube demonstrates a much deeper and richer sense of engagement. And the second thing I would just lightly challenge is that there's no shoulder content. I actually think there's tons of shoulder content. It doesn't come from traditional studios, as it has done. But for instance, NWSL has hundreds of channels from fans, analysts, former players, former coaches, who are all talking about the game, the league, the players, everything that's happening. It's just not from the official sources that we're used to seeing that kind of shoulder programming. And I think the real opportunity for women's sports is to not try and follow the men's game, but say it's a different media landscape, and actually there's a whole bunch of content that loves and is inspiring about these different sports. And if we put all that together, we get a very different picture, much richer picture, and I think that we can innovate beyond where the men's game is rather than trying to catch up to it.
So could you envision a future, and I'll open it up to the panel, where traditional media doesn't matter as much, all right? Or is that essential in order to truly drive the investment that's going to create that, right? That investment and that flywheel to continue the growth.
I think traditional media always matters because the drama is the game. Right, what really matters is that there's brilliant stories on the field, on the pitch, that we have athletes with amazing performance, and that comes through, those wonderful live moments that we share as truly social moments together. I think the difference is what happens around it. And I think that what we want to try and do is just raise up as many voices as want to talk about these things. And from a YouTube point of view, just very practically, we want to try and package them so a Delta can take advantage of that. So that if they really want to own a sport, if they want to be in every corner of that sports fandom, they can do it through a platform like YouTube. So I think it's an and rather than an or. But what we should do, I think, is really focus on who are the brightest voices within this sport. They might not come from the most traditional focus areas, and how do we kind of give them more breadth? And that's one of the things that we do with our YouTube content program. We help support these emergent channels for emergent sports and give them some airtime, give them some oxygen so that they can reach the audience that will want to hear from them about what's happened at the weekend or what's going to happen next weekend.